Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to episode 5 of Imam Initiative, a series about being an Imam in the West. In this episode, we're honored to have the participation of Sheikh Mufti Muhammad Muneer. Mufti earned his bachelor's and master's in Hadith from the Islamic University of Medina and is currently the Imam of Masjid Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah in Queens, New York. It is with great pleasure I present episode 5 of Imam Initiative with Sheikh Mufti Muhammad Muneer.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First and foremost, it is alhamdulillah, it's a pleasure and it's an honor to be requested and for a person to have good thoughts of us, to bring some type of benefit or share some type of experience or personal advice or personal preference with regards to being an imam. And alhamdulillah, I thank Allah Azza wa Jalla for that. And I thank all of the brothers and the sisters included or involved in making this happen, whether it's Brother Sajid or other than Brother Sajid. May Allah bless all of them. And like I said, it's an honor for me. And it was something I never expected or anticipated when I first started seeking knowledge. That people will come and ask me advice, my personal experiences, etc. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He decrees that which He wills, the mighty and the most high. As far as the first question, what are the benefits of being an imam? Then obviously that's very a simple question, but it can be a very long and extensive answer. To keep things short and brief, I would say the benefits of being an imam, benefits that are spiritual, that pertain to one's soul, one's heart, whether it's in this life, the grave, or the hereafter, the standing, the resurrection after the grave is in the hereafter. And I would say there are benefits that are worldly benefits that only pertain to this life, or may also lead into the next life, but are initially for this life, regardless whether they're monetary benefits or material benefits or just things that pertain to the dunya. All right. As far as the benefits of being an imam that are spiritual, then I know that they're well known to all the brothers and the sisters. They're well known to the imams, to the students of knowledge, the brothers that have graduated, that are about to graduate. They're well known. From that which we can remind ourselves of, is the well-known hadith, the authentic narration, in which the Prophet ﷺ, he says that whenever the son of Adam dies, in qata'a amruhu illa min thalath, all of his deeds cease except for 3, meaning he doesn't reap any more hasanat except for 3 deeds that continue to move along after he has left this worldly life. The Prophet ﷺ, he says sadaqatin jariyah, he says continuous charity, whether it be an endowment, waqf, or other than that, something that you do that isn't temporary, that isn't just for one person's benefit or one group's benefit, but something that continues to give forth even after one's death. He says, "O ilmin yuntafa'u bihi," or knowledge that is helpful, is beneficial. "O waladin salihin yad'u lahu," or a righteous child that will pray for him. A righteous child that will pray for him. And I humbly feel that the imam has the opportunity, rather the imam has maybe the top seed, if not, then at least a very high chance, very high percentage of being included in all 3 tiers of this hadith. All 3 aspects of this hadith: the imam of a masjid, the imam of a community, of a center, let alone of a country. He can find, inshallah, all 3 of these opportunities. As far as the waqf, then for sure an imam can be someone who can do it himself, or at least be involved with others and cooperate in establishing a charitable foundation, a society for research, establishing a hospital, an orphanage, establishing a place for physically or mentally disabled children, in which it is given for Allah's sake. No one owns it. It's waqf, and it's an endowment, and it's forever. After he goes, the people still benefit from it, whether it's the Muslims alone, Muslims and non-Muslims, or even just for non-Muslims. A waqf, All right. So there lies no doubt. Oftentimes, the imam being the leader of a community and someone who's supposed to be involved in the community and do much more than just lead the salah and give classes and give khutbahs, marriage counseling, but he's supposed to be an active member of his community. That's what we said he's supposed to be. Is that always the case? Allahumma musta'an. But he's supposed to be someone who's in his community, involved. He's a community leader. And I think living in the United States or Canada or the UK, we have to start getting back into the concept of community leader. And you're meant to be someone that the people go to for spiritual guidance and also for worldly guidance and worldly affairs as well. It's crime or making a hospital or making a petition or keeping this out of the neighborhood, bringing this into the neighborhood. This is something that the imam should be a part of. And he should have a voice, all right? Just like there are priests and the rabbi and this cultural leader and this spiritual leader, the imam as well. So there are many things that the imam can do which can be sadaqah jariyah, all right? And which he can establish for the people's benefit, spiritual and worldly or both, for after he goes, when he passes on. Also, the beneficial knowledge that the people learn from is useful even after your death. That's obvious. That doesn't necessarily need to be spoken about. The classes that you teach, the khutbahs that you give, the reminders that you share, the answers that you give to the people's questions. I mean, you may look at it as a small thing, but it may be something tremendous in the sight of Allah. It may be something that is of very, very, very strong impact among the general people. You may look at it as just one hadith, or it's a basic, simple question about doing this. But to the person who's ignorant, or those who don't know Arabic, or those who haven't studied overseas, it's life-changing. It's life-changing, groundbreaking. And I could share many, many different stories like this on Hajj, in New York City, all over the place, wherever you go. Things that can be, literally change someone's life. And Allah knows best when I'm exaggerating. We get emails all the time. People from different countries, people from overseas, UK. Meet brothers, people contact us and they say all the time, your class changed my life, or your channel, it changed my life. And Allah knows I'm not exaggerating. Somebody walk up to you, you're in the airport, a total stranger, and say, hey, aren't you from Hadith Disciple? Don't you do the class on Hadith Disciple? Okay, you're walking in Target or Walmart and an Egyptian lady sees you and says, hey, I see you on Facebook. Your stuff is so beneficial. It helped out my son, so on and so forth. And the list goes on and on and on. So you look at it as a small thing, but it could be great to someone else. You look at it as basic knowledge, a simple reminder, but it may be, like I said, of tremendous impact to another Muslim. So if you're a true imam and you teach and you spread beneficial knowledge of the sunnah, it'll never die. It'll never ever go away. Your knowledge and your legacy, if it's a true legacy, and if it's strong knowledge, it will live forever. And many of the companions, they talked about this. Whether it's Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu or others, they would say, "Inna ilma rajuli waladahu al-mukhallad." They said that the knowledge of a man is his eternal child. You have a son that never ever dies, and that's knowledge. And we read the stories of Ibn Taymiyyah, we read the stories of this imam and of that imam, we read the books, we read the translations on a daily basis. And oftentimes your legacy isn't as great living as it is once you pass. And history teaches us this. History teaches us and shows us. Ibn Abdul Wahab, do you think he would have thought that there would be people around the world talking about him and his legacy? For good and for bad. For good and for bad. Supporters or enemies. Those who say Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahab was Mujaddid. He revived the correct Aqeedah. He revived the Dawah. Okay. Those who say that he was a reformist. He was an extremist. He was a fundamentalist. He was a Najdi preacher, a Najdi cleric. Wahhabism. This is discussed in universities around the world. And people talk about Wahhabi Islam and how it's strict and how it's intolerant and etc. The point is that he's talked about. He hasn't died. His legacy remains. Do you think that he thought it was going to be like that? Do you think that he knew that it would be a Jamia Islamiyah in which students from around the world, from Mexico to Niger to Russia, would be studying and taking his Aqeedah and spreading it to their countries? So, and the list goes on. No, do you think his 40 hadith, do you think he thought it would be like how it is today? Translated to so many languages, taught and explained, memorized. And the list goes on of examples. So, you never know what Allah Azza wa Jalla has in store for you. And you never know how far your knowledge will go. All you have to do is just plant the seeds, spread the seeds. Johnny Appleseed, he planted the apple seeds and the apple trees came. So I mean, knowledge that is benefited from after your death is something that I feel that the Imam has first pick in. And Allah knows best. Then the hadith it says, "Oh, waladin salihin yad'u lahu," or a righteous child that will make dua for him, that will pray for him afterwards. Now, this isn't specific to an Imam. Anybody can have a righteous child, but once more, who deserves this most, or who is the one that should be included in this first and foremost? Of course, this is the Imam. How do you have a righteous child? First and foremost is dua, asking Allah for protection, for barakah, and for righteous children. Then after that, you take the material, tangible means. You look for a suitable spouse, a righteous woman that comes from good stock. All right, a woman that's pure and clean, a woman that's beautiful and attractive, a woman that's fertile and loving and affectionate. All right, a woman, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, that you will feel comfortable with, and that her charm, whether it's her moral charm, her spiritual charm, her personality, or her physical beauty, it invites you and it draws you to her, and you want to be with her, and you have children, you have abundant children. As the Prophet informed us, to marry a woman who is loving, affectionate, a woman who is fertile and she can bear children. So that's the next step. And then you continue to make dua. You feed your wife while she's pregnant with your child with the halal rizq, the lawful sustenance, the pure, good, healthy foods. Stay away from the toxic poisons and things like this, all right? And you continue making dua for your child until the child is born. And you raise the child yourself upon the Quran and Sunnah. You shave their head, you give them their aqiqah, you give them a righteous, meaningful name, an Islamic name. And you feed them with the halal. You make dua for them, you teach them, you spend time with them. You show them the ropes of life. You teach them how to be a Muslim. You teach them how to be a man, how to be a woman, how to be a lady, etc. And you spend time with them. You give them all that you can. And within that you have a righteous child. These are all things that the Imam is supposed to do. The Imam is supposed to treat his family the best. As the Prophet ﷺ says, خَيْرُكُمْ لِأَهْلِهِ وَأَنَا خَيْرُكُمْ لِأَهْلِي. He says, the best of you are those who are best of their families. And I'm the best from among you to my family. So oftentimes, we have very weird and strange phenomena, which is, or phenomenon, which is the Imam's children are the worst. Not all the time, but it's very, very common. The children that have the less or the least amount of Islam with them, the least amount of knowledge, the most poor character, the worst behavior, you find oftentimes is the Imam's sons, the Imam's daughters. Those are his daughters dressed like that. Those are his sons that are crazy and wild, have no respect, no manners, that never come to the masjid, never do anything. How is this, one may ask? How is the leader of the community who's supposed to lead by statement and example to have the worst example? Something is wrong. Something that he's not doing for his family. The time, the teaching, the tarbiyah, something is severely lacking. And it is of ultimate loss for a person to travel around the world and give so many lectures and to talk and to teach and not spend no time, not make no efforts for his own family. Something is wrong. All right. But the true Imam that's following the true legacy, that's doing things how he is supposed to be doing it, there lies no doubt, inshallah, he's going to give this time to his children and his wife and his family. And it doesn't mean that they all have to be scholars and great worshippers of Allah, but at least have the basics of Islam. Okay, at least have good character, at least have basic righteousness with them. That's okay. So the Imam, inshallah, is included in this. And we all know in Islam, a person is encouraged to get married. As the Prophet ﷺ said in the authentic narration, "O assembly of youth, get married if you can." All right. Allah tells us in the Quran about the prophets and the messengers that He sent before the Prophet ﷺ, Prophet Muhammad, and He made for them wives and children. So having a family, raising a family is very important in Islam, extremely important in Islam. And obviously the Imam should be included in that. And you should be an example for the youth of the masjid. You tell them to get married, not to have girlfriends, all right? But you don't have a wife, you're single. How can a man live in the United States for years and years and years on end and he's not married? I don't understand how it could just work like that. He has no wife, no family, no children, nothing. Not for a couple of months, or he got divorced, or he was in a bad situation, or he's graduating from school, or he's seeking knowledge. But a person just live in the United States, normal, everyday 9-to-5 life, and not have a family. I don't know how that can possibly be without a real, tangible excuse. And Allah surely knows best. So if that's the case of a normal Muslim, then what about an Imam? How are people going to look up to you for guidance and you don't have a family, you don't raise a family, you don't have righteous children? So I think that being an imam, as a Muslim, you have to do that. But being an imam, sometimes it forces you. And oftentimes the shaitan, he comes to us and he whispers to us and he makes us think and feel that we only can do ibadah when we're comfortable with it. And that's not true. Sometimes you have to be forced to do it. Or not forced, but it has to be pressure. Or sometimes you have to be thrown into the pool to swim. And inshallah, you become a good swimmer. So you're being an imam, that responsibility, that forced responsibility is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. All right. Sometimes it's a very good thing. As a great champion athlete once said, he said that fear, for some men, it breaks them. And for other men, it forces them to break records. For some men, fear breaks. And for others, it causes them to break records. Meaning that a person has no choice but to rise to the occasion. A person has no choice but to be excellent because he was thrown into this situation. So oftentimes responsibility is thrown on you, and that causes you to have your finest hour in life. And I think that is applicable to the imam with regards to having righteous children, righteous kids, whether you want to do it or whether you have to do it. So if you have 4 kids, 5 kids, 6 kids, how can you not have at least one of them that's following in your footsteps? Or all of them with a basic level of righteousness and piety. And then guidance is in Allah's hands, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nuh alayhi salam, Allah tells about his son, Ibrahim's father, the Prophet's tribe, Quraysh, etc. No, it can happen. But the point I'm trying to get to is for you to have totally felt and forsaken your family and not taught them. So I think it's one of the greatest virtues of being an imam is that this hadith applies to him and that he will continue to reap these rewards even after he goes. And there are many other narrations about the virtue of the imam, even if they're not directly addressed to the imam, such as that of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Muawiyah radiallahu anhu, Ibn Sufyan, and Sahih Muslim and others, in which the Messenger of Allah says, أَطْوَلَ النَّاسِ عَنَاقًا يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ الْمُؤَذِّنُونَ. The people who have the longest necks on the Day of Judgment are the mu'adhins. Imam al-Shawkani rahimahullah and Nail al-Awtar, he explains this hadith to say and to prove that this hadith to many of the ulama of Islam shows that the best thing to be in Islam is a mu'adhin. That's the highest level, the highest status and rank is to be a mu'adhin. Alright? And the ulama, they differ on the interpretation of the hadith. It doesn't mean that people have actually long necks, meaning that when the sun comes close to them and the people drown in their sweat, and they'll have longer necks and they won't be in that type of peril? Or does it mean that they'll be beautiful and splendid on the Day of Judgment? As the Arabs say that if a person has a long neck, it's a sign of beauty and handsomeness. A woman with a long neck is considered to be a beautiful woman, a dainty woman. Well, regardless of the exact interpretation, there lies no doubt it shows the virtue of being a mu'adhin. And that is why some say that that's the best thing to be in al-Islam. But others, they say rather the best thing to be in Islam is an imam. And that is because the Prophet ﷺ was an imam. And Allah says, وَجَعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. The dua of the Ibad al-Rahman, the chosen slaves of Allah, for an imam to be made from among them. Umar radiallahu anhu, he said that if I had the ability to do both, the Khalifa and the Mu'adhin, I would do so. Alright, so this shows us the virtue of being an imam in al-Islam, and that even if a Mu'adhin is better, according to that one view, it goes to show you that being an imam is definitely in the top 3. Let alone if that's the best and the strongest opinion, is that the imam is the best enemy. So why wouldn't you want to be this? As far as the problems of being an imam and the administrations and these people, this center and this masjid, okay, whatever you do in life is going to come with a cost. And it's going to come with problems. So that's in grief with regards to the virtues of being an imam that are spiritual. As far as the physical or the material things or the worldly things, then of course, being an imam is a means of happiness just by helping out people and putting a smile on someone's face and relieving someone of pressure and stress and grief. Somebody may come to you and say they want to commit suicide. Someone comes to you and says, I want to divorce my wife. Someone comes to you and says, I want to be a Muslim no more. Someone comes to you with a major problem, a major issue, and you help them out. It's like a doctor. It's like a doctor. It's like a barber. All right? I personally was a barber, and I know the joy that comes with being a barber. And literally, by Allah's permission, somebody comes to you, they get out your chair, they come out the chair like a new person. They feel clean, they feel fresh, they smell good, they look nice, they look handsome. Muslim or non-Muslim, they're going to go and it's going to give them self-confidence. It's going to give them self-pride. It's going to help them go somewhere, have self-esteem, and look better and feel better. They're going out to their wives. They're going to a date. They're going for a job interview. Wherever they're going, you make them look nice and sharp and smell clean, look fresh. So making someone else feel happy should be gratifying. It should be satisfying for you yourself. Okay? And I think that oftentimes a lot of stress and a lot of worry is pushed and repelled from an imam because of what he does for others. What he does for others. And me personally, I would say that's one of the most gratifying things. One of the most satisfying feelings is to know that you're helping somebody. You're doing good for somebody. You're sharing something with somebody. You're making someone else's day better by answering a question or by being there for them. And I feel this is one of the greatest virtues of being an imam, of the worldly things. And that is that you'll always be far from sadness and grief and depression. And that's because you're making other people feel good. And what happens when you make other people feel good? They'll be there for you when you need them. What happens when you do something for a Muslim? You answer a question, you marry someone off, you get someone out of a jam, out of a tight situation. They'll make dua for you, they'll pray for you. So how miserable can your life be if Muslims around the world or in your community are praying for you? Do you realize this? You may go to sleep and there are 10 households in your community and there's dua being made in each household at tahajjud, at nighttime, to bless you, to protect you, to forgive you, to keep you safe. It's not a small, easy thing. All right. So there are so many different benefits of being an imam. This are just a few. We can get into the concept of monetary things and just these two right there. And Allah knows best. To keep things in brief. Next question says, what is the real goal of an imam and how can he measure his personal success, etc.? The real goal of an imam is to be an imam, is to lead. Is to lead the people in their spiritual affairs. Is to be there for them, to give them guidance, give them advice, enlighten them. And what they become afterwards is not necessarily your job. Nor should you necessarily measure your success by what the people do. Okay? As long as you're doing it correctly. As far as if you're doing it incorrectly and no one is following you and listening and benefiting, then that's a problem. But if you did your job properly, if you did your job in the right way, and the student didn't take it, they didn't accept it, the doctor administered the medicine, I performed the surgery properly, I prescribed the medicine properly, the pharmacist says, but the person didn't eat it, didn't take the medicine, didn't work out, didn't rest, and the bone doesn't heal or the cancer remains or whatever the case, then that's not the person's fault. That's not their fault. If as far as there was malpractice, that's a different story. There was an error in the surgery, that's a different story. Wrong medicine was prescribed, that's a different story. But if you did your job the right way, then what the people do is not your responsibility. So the duty of an imam is to lead. It's to guide. It's to lead by example. It's to teach the people verbally and to show them physically. And if someone comes from among your congregation as a student of knowledge, then alhamdulillah, it's a benefit. It's a blessing. Wallahi, if it was just one strong student that came from your teachings, that's a benefit. Let alone 3, let alone 5, let alone 550. Okay? And everybody shouldn't or doesn't have to be a student of knowledge. A level of Islam, a level of knowledge, everyone has to know. But not every single Muslim has to be Ibn Taymiyyah, nor are they requested to, nor is that a good idea. And I think that if you go into a place thinking you're going to change everyone to students of knowledge and become these super heroes of ilm, then I think you're setting yourself up for a major act of failure. Know that from among the congregation are those who are students of knowledge, those who love ilm and love to hear fawaid. And there are those who just want to hear dhikr, the good word. And there are those who are barely struggling and holding on. There are those, etc. Different levels of people. So I don't think that is a way that you can measure your personal success 100%. But look at your efficiency. Your job is to lead 5 prayers. Do you lead those prayers correctly? Are you reciting correctly? To give the khutbah. Is your khutbah successful? Are you delivering a strong, powerful khutbah based off of Quran or Sunnah with your own style in a good way? Can you speak the language of the people? Can you relate to them? Have you won their trust? Have you won their respect? Have you won their love? Those are ways of you gauging your success and measuring your success. And I think those are some of the most important things in the beginning. It's not necessarily to teach everything and to do this, but just to win the people's love, win their trust, and win their respect. When someone loves you, when someone trusts you, when someone respects your knowledge and your Islamic authority, they'll take anything from you. They'll do anything that you tell them to do. It's a very powerful emotion. So someone loves you as a person, as your personality, what you say, what you stand for, how you present yourself. They respect the ilm that you say. They trust you when you give them rulings and tell them this is correct and that's incorrect. when they respect your ilm, that you're strong, then I think that's the way that you measure your success. And I think that's the first thing that you need to do, is to gain the love and the trust and the respect of the people. Bidnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there's not just one thing that you have to do. Students of knowledge, gaining more money for the masjid, that stuff that's going to come anyway. Your job is to do an efficient job. This is your contractual agreement. These are the responsibilities that you have. Do your duty. That's it. It's like the army. You're not a colonel or a general. You're a lieutenant. You're not a lieutenant. You're a sergeant or a private. Do your duty. This is your job and you do it. That's it. You're not here to question or to interpret or to calculate. Your job is to do your job. And your job is, for example, 3 khutbahs every month. Lead the 5 prayers for the days that you have to be at the masjid. 6 days a week, 5 days a week, whatever. Give 4 classes a week. Be available for the people's questions, for their marriage counseling, etc. That's it. Do your job. And make sure that you do a good job. Seek Allah's help. Make sure that you're a professional. And that's all you have to worry about. If they get more money because of your classes and they raise more contributions and they build a better, bigger, fancier masjid, then alhamdulillah. And if they don't, alhamdulillah, you've done your job. If the students of knowledge come to you from your community, alhamdulillah. If not, you've done your job. Focus and do your duty. And when people forget their rank and forget their job description, that's when things become a little sticky and a little hairy. And Allah knows best. Is there any specific thing that you remind yourself of every day before you go to work? Of course. Taqwa of Allah. Not being a hypocrite. Not being a munafiq. Teaching the people to do something and you don't do it yourself. Reminding yourself of this was a dream. I don't know about other brothers, but for myself, there was a dream come true. Me studying overseas was a dream. Me teaching and speaking was a dream come true. And you can ask the older brothers that knew me when I was younger, whether I have a relationship with them now or not, whether they like me now or not, whatever the case is, and go and ask them how I used to look up to them and respect them from when I was young in school. And I used to marvel over it, all right? And that's what drove me to go overseas. So for me, I remind myself that this is what you wanted. This is what you asked Allah for. And now Allah has given it to you. It's manifested. So be grateful and don't complain. This is what you asked for. Also remind yourself of the reward from Allah. And remind yourself of your purpose and why you're doing it. Remind yourself of where you live in America, full of kufr and shirk. Okay, full of drugs and alcohol and violence and zina. Full of atheism and apostasy. Full of heedlessness from Allah's dhikr that's surrounding you. Remind yourself of, you never know when it's going to come or what's going to come to you. Be sharp at all times. Stay sharp. Stay alert. Stay prepared. All right? And also, last but not least, is to remind yourself of humbleness and humility and stifle your ego. Take a deep breath. Humble yourself. Don't be a tyrant. Don't be a bully. Don't be someone that's like Pharaoh to get to, and where someone has to get on their knees and kiss your feet to ask you a question. Humble yourself. And somebody may disrespect you. And many people may not know your true value, your true worth, what you're really worth, and what you bring to the table as a person, and the knowledge and the caliber that you have. There are many people that are not going to know this. They're not going to try to know it. But you have to humble yourself. You're a humble servant of the masjid, a humble servant of knowledge, of da'wah. Very important to remind yourself on a daily basis. Last but not least, when is being an imam da'iyah fun and exciting? For me, it's every day, because I said it's a dream come true. And obviously there are some things that are more fun than others, some things that are more exciting than others, some things I enjoy more than others, of course, that's natural. Certain classes are funner than others, giving the khutbah, Friday, Jummah, the Eid, all right? And it depends on the nature of your community. Some communities are different. You may not have a daily congregation like that. You may not have a big, large number of people. You may have only a Jummah crowd or an Eid crowd or a Ramadan crowd. So Ramadan is fun, or certain questions are fun, or maybe challenges, or someone brings you a challenging situation, in which you have to go out of your comfort zone. Okay, or it may be fun to teach your personal students. That's fun. When I'm just with the real tulab al-ilm that I can actually get loose with and teach real ilm and not just reminders. So I think that it depends on person to person. Traveling for me is fun, even though traveling comes with many sacrifices and many hardships in the airport and outside of the airport, but it's still fun. And the adrenaline of just traveling and seeing new places and meeting new people, and like I said, challenging yourself coming across people that don't know you. They look at you as an average normal person. People that judge you because of how young you look. And they don't know what you know. Or people who judge you look based off of the color of your skin. All right? Because that's the first thing that someone sees. We can say this, Islam, there's no racism, there's no prejudice in Islam. This is what the people say redundantly. And that's true. But there's definitely racism and prejudice among Muslims. You can't deny that. Muslims on a day-to-day basis, let alone in history, historical, the Arabic language, the culture of the people is based off of caste and prejudice and colorism and racism. This is people. So people, they see your skin color first. And oftentimes many Muslims, maybe non-Muslims too, but oftentimes many Muslims, they look at your skin color before they look at anything else. Before they look at what type of thobe you're wearing, or they look at your skin color. He's Arab or he's American. He's black American. Is he white American? Is he Bangladeshi or Indian or Pakistani? Is he have white skin with veins you can see? Or is he a dark skin or brown skin? Thick? They look at this. So oftentimes you may go somewhere and people judge you by the color of your skin first. So it may be fun for them to look at you and think, oh, this guy doesn't have no knowledge. He's not Somali. What does he know? He's not from Somalia. He's an American. He's a black American. What does he know? All he can do is give a little kalima, a dhikr, and that's it. That's the only thing he's good for. And then sometimes you see the look on their faces. And you see their mouths pop open and hit the floor when you start talking and spitting. Ba, 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 da, da, da. Like, whoa, what is this? What just walked in the masjid? We thought it was a 16-year-old kid. So being challenged and being underestimated, sometimes it can be fun because you have to step up and show yourself. And there are many, many other things like this, all right? Obviously, all of these things are to be understood in light of ikhlas and sincerity, but we are human beings, and let's not fake it like we're not humans, okay? So there are many things which are fun, and of course, there are many things which are sad about being an imam, even though that's not a part of the question, but I think that's another side of it. Oftentimes, it's depressing and sad when you give advice to someone and you know that the advice is good advice, based off of Quran and Sunnah, based off of your experiences in life, and a person just can't take the advice. Their cup is too full. Okay, they just can't take it, and it's going to end up in divorce. Their children are going to be scattered, or they're not going to go overseas and seek knowledge. You tell the brother what to do, and he just can't listen. And it's so simple and clear for him, and he has the potential, but he just can't do it. It's sad. But you have to realize being an imam, that's a part of being an imam, is that everyone has to choose their own path. And everyone is not going to listen to the advice. And there's some people, unfortunately, just not going to learn except for the hard way. Okay, so these are some of my personal opinions and views and experiences, and Allah surely knows best. Wallahu alam.